This episode brought to you by that thing you just thought about. Whatever that thing was, here it is. You should buy it. Maybe you were talking to a friend about that thing, and now you see an ad for it on your search query. Maybe you looked that thing up once, 45 hours ago. Maybe that thing was something you just bought and are looking at right now. It doesn't matter. Buy it again. That thing you just thought about is all the rage. Make sure you get it for a steal right now. That thing you just thought about. Don't find us. We'll find you. Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk, an opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Your schlubby hosts each week are Bryce Hanson, the cool collected nihilist, and David Day, a pasta salad with extra ranch. New theatrical releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. I'm David Day.
I'm Bryce Hanson.
And today we've got one heck of a show for you guys. Let me tell you. Ma! Hey, Ma! Hey, Mama! Hey, Mama!
Hey, Mama!
Today we're going to be talking about...
Brightburn again.
Brightburn again. No, we're going to be talking, of course, about Ma! We'll start out by giving
Ma! Can we get some meatloaf?
Sorry.
Hey, Ma! Can we get some meatloaf?
Yeah. Hey, Ma! Today, well, we'll start out by giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very bad, 5 being totally average, and 10 being so good that it transcends genre boundaries. I got mushy mouth today. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film, my babies. And later, we will be doing Taglines, a perennial favorite, a game where we think up taglines, alternate taglines for the movie, or just joke around about the movie. It's kind of devolved into a little less rigid of a format than it once was. And then we will also be doing some horror movie news because there's some notable shit coming up. So, but first, we're going to talk about our website. Check us out at horrormovietalk.com. There you will find links to all of our social media, including Facebook, Twitter, the Gram, Reddit. We got YouTube. We got people. We have LinkedIn.
We're everywhere.
We have LinkedIn. LinkedIn's helpful.
If you want to connect to Horror Movie Talk on a professional level.
LinkedIn. Go ahead and check us out on LinkedIn. Also, if you want to help the show out, we post new episodes every Wednesday, so make sure to subscribe and leave a review of the podcast on iTunes. That really helps us out, my babies, because let me tell you, we need 200 iTunes reviews.
Almost every episode, you come up with like a new thing that you want to push.
Yeah.
And I can't tell. Right now, it's my babies.
Oh, my babies.
I want to know where that's from.
I don't know.
Because sometimes you just straight up steal stuff from Adam Carolla or your mom's house. And
I guess it's from Bob's Burgers.
I'm like, okay, we're doing this now.
I guess it's from Bob's Burgers.
My baby? Okay.
My babies. Little water babies. But we are trying to get to the 200 review mark on iTunes so we can become so we can have our childhood dreams fulfilled and become Rotten Tomato reviewers.
Right.
But featured on Rotten Tomato.
And we're almost there. We're 5% of the way there. Almost 5% of the way there.
10%. 10%? 20 reviews?
Oh, yeah. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
10%. Almost 10% the way there.
So
because I think we have 19.
Yeah. So just create a bunch of fake accounts, give us a bunch of reviews. It'll be great.
Steal your parents' phone, if it's an iPhone, and leave us a review.
Mm-hmm. You can support the podcast by buying anything on Amazon as long as you go to our website first, horrormovietalk.com, and click through the green button in the header of our website. It says spend money on Amazon. And then we get a little taste of that. Adds nothing extra to your transaction. You can also...
Other than just a sense of satisfaction of helping out a fledgling podcast.
Yeah, you get to get those feel-good feels, which are always nice to feel because they feel good. You can also support us by heading on over to Shudder, which is the horror movie and show streaming platform, SHUDDER.com, and entering the code HMT at checkout for Horror Movie Talk. That gets you a 30-day free trial to that service, and instead of this stupid normal 7-day free trial that we hate so much. So go ahead and head on over there to Shudder, support us that way. And finally, last plug, you can become a patron on Patreon if you would like, by similar to the Amazon way. Just head to our website, click the button at the top, says become a patron, and then you can get in early to the Horror Movie Talk Horror Movie Talk founding members. That was disjointed. So you can go ahead and become a Horror Movie Talk founding member, and with that you get grandfathered into all future brackets of Patreon patronage. And right now we got. I'd like to say thank you to our 4 patrons, which has grown by 2 since last week. That's doubling our numbers. It's incredible. It's unprecedented. It may never happen again.
Yeah, I'm incredibly surprised at the generosity of people that want to support podcasts, because, we started the Patreon mostly to lock in like a lower rate because they were increasing their rates in May.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting anyone, to be honest. And good thing David has friends, because a lot of them are very generous. Between last week and this week, we got 2 new patrons. I want to thank Tracy A. and Adrian. I don't know what his last name starts
Adrian with.
Adrian A.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
And Jessica and Brad.
And Jessica and Brad, who we've mentioned before. Just so you know, I think we're going to do the 1 tier for Horror Movie Talk founding members for 1 more month. And what that's going to entail is, since you are the first, you will get every benefit in perpetuity as long as you're a patron. So even if we stop doing that tier and replace it with another tier that has less stuff in it.
Your grandmother or fathered in.
Yes. So hop on that train,
Got some ideas
while you still can. We've already released some patron exclusive content this last week, which includes an afterpod, just extended talk period where it's a little free form. We usually talk to each other after we finish the episode, and it's more of just like letting it roll, and you
Shooting
get to hear it unedited and hear about our lives a little bit. And then we
hear
also
about what a white supremacist Bryce is. Jesus Christ!
Everyone knows David's the racist one.
I'm not.
Then we also posted an episode on us talking about the HBO/Sky series Chernobyl. And we did a mini pod on episode 1 of that.
Both of those, I went back and listened to both of those episodes that are exclusive Patreon episodes, and I thought they were both as good or better than a normal Horror Movie Talk episode, just because they are freeform, and boy, man, that Chernobyl show, goddamn, it's riveting.
So anyways, check out our Patreon. Hop on it while you can get the Horror Movie Talk founding member status. And you'll get all the benefits in perpetuity. And once we change it up, then, $5 won't get you as much, I don't think.
Yeah, probably not. So. Then you'll have missed that train. That train has sailed or something. Left the station.
All right.
So thanks again for listening, and let's get into the show. As I mentioned, we went and saw Ma, Oops, a little Freudian slip there, Bryce. Oops.
Hey, Ma!
We saw it in theaters. We saw it separately because Bryce hurt his little foot. Fell down, go boom, boom, hurt his foot. Whoa, what a good guy. Actually, it's pretty impressive. He hasn't shared the photos of the gore with any of you, but he has with me. And let me tell you, some shit went down with Bryce's toe.
We can get into it later. I think we should get into the episode and let it happen organically.
Okay. So we went and saw Ma in theaters, and it was nothing new or exciting. If you take the stalker subgenre of horror or thrillers and add an Academy Award winner and a cast of pretty teens, you have Ma. It's very by the books. Ma is an interesting enough movie that features darn good acting and solid direction. My problem with Ma is that it's not notable enough to spend your money on it. It feels like many of the straight-to-streaming entries that Netflix provides us with. It's solid, but ultimately forgettable. So here's the trailer.
Are you going to meet a boy? No sex or booze.
Okay. Woo! Maggie came to party. Let's get filthy. What you sipping on? I got you talking crazy.
Excuse me, can you buy some booze for my friends and I?
Not interested.
Please?
Hell.
Ooh, there's my girl.
This never happened, okay?
Thanks again for doing this, ma'am.
You guys want to party like rock stars? Follow me.
Let's get drunk!
The bar is open.
What do you think?
We don't know this chick.
It ain't much, but it's all you.
Cool basement.
You're free to do whatever you want down here, but nobody go upstairs.
This is so sick.
Welcome to Ma's.
What? Love Ma?
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
How did she get our numbers?
You know where the party is. Those earrings are beautiful, Maggie. You got a sweet mama, huh?
Who are you with? Just some kids from school.
You have a boyfriend. Men are dogs.
There's something off about Ma.
Seriously? She's harmless. And her basement's pretty much the best drinking spot in town.
We can't go up there. Shh. What the hell?
Thanks for these earrings.
What happened last night?
You don't remember, do you?
Are you guys mad at me for something?
I don't want to hang out at Ma's anymore.
Don't make me drink alone.
Max, I want you to meet someone.
Nice to meet you, Maggie.
We went to high school together.
Why's my son
You smell just like your daddy.
spending time at your house?
Hey, guys.
That bitch is crazy.
Probably something wrong with me. How does it feel to be on the outside looking in? Let's get this party turned up.
What are you doing?
This is the most fun I've had in a long time.
The French.
Hey, Bryce.
What?
Don't make me drink alone. Don't make me drink alone.
Don't make me drink alone. Don't make me drink alone.
Yeah, don't make me drink alone.
I thought that line is stuck in my head so much. And even watching the movie, every time whenever I think of the movie, I think of that.
You make me drink alone.
Don't make me drink alone. Don't make me drink alone.
You make me drink alone pretty much all the time. Ma can be found in theaters. It was just released this last weekend, and it follows Maggie, a new kid, played by Diana Silvers, who, as I said, is new in town, just having moved from the West Coast to this town in the Midwest where her mother, Erica, played by Juliette Lewis, is from. Juliette Lewis.
Remember her?
Remember her? Maggie quickly befriends a group of gorgeous teens, and they begin their quest to party. The most important part of any party quest is finding an adult to buy you booze, and Ma, played by Octavia Spencer, fills that niche nicely. As the group continues in their quest to party, they realize that they need a safe space to party. Another niche that Ma is happy to fill by giving them her basement, but nothing else. Don't go upstairs, damn it. Finally, their quest to party leads them back to Ma's house over and over again, but now it's the teens who must fill a niche. Ma's need for acceptance and control. As the group becomes less enthusiastic about Ma's parties, Ma becomes more and more overbearing until she has a full break with reality and becomes basically unhinged. I don't know what I thought movie reviewing was going to be about when I started doing it, Bryce. It's not a terribly glamorous thing because of movies like Ma. This movie didn't commit any mortal sins, and frankly, it was pretty well done. It's just kind of forgettable and uninteresting, which adds to the tedium of much of my life.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree.
Oh.
Saying this is a mediocre movie. Like, I thought it was pretty good. Like, it exceeded my expectations. Especially the trailer. I mean, it pretty much delivers what the trailer gives you. But there were some well-worn paths that they could have gone down that they didn't. And I respect that a lot.
Sure. But there just didn't seem to be any stakes. Like, it just wasn't a very compelling premise. And at the end of it, I just walked away going, well, that was some good acting. And, but boy, just a boner of a story. Like, I just didn't care. It was like,
that's interesting. I wonder why I did and you didn't. Well, why don't you give your score for it?
So
I don't think we're that far off on the score, but I think in terms of like the diagnosis of the movie, we differ.
Yeah, so this is an interesting movie, right? So I give this a 6 out of 10. Now, The Prodigy, we gave a 5 out of 10 because we just couldn't justify going any lower than that. But God, it was boring. This was not nearly as boring.
Right.
This was an interesting movie that was well acted and well directed. It's just the story just kind of bored me. And so for that reason, I'll go, it's a little bit better than average, but it just won't stick with me. And I would I'd never be like, you know what movie you should check out? Ma. Like,
See, I give it a 7, and I think that's like where it passes recommendation stage. Like, I think you should see it in the theaters. I think it warrants a viewing. It's probably a low 7 for me, but it passes 6, which is just slightly better than average. I think it's actually a really well-made, like you said, well acted, and I think I just value those things a little more.
Yeah, I think you do.
It's like it's surprisingly rare to have like a really good, well acted villain in horror movies, and not just like over the top.
It's really essential to this kind of movie as well. I'm going to get into that later on in my review, because the villain has to be good.
Yeah.
And Octavia Spencer, I mean, you can't say anything really bad about her.
The script is okay. It uses a little bit of shorthand. There are some things that they could have gone into a little more detail. Like, for example, they talk about this. I wrote this down. For example, the protagonist says, "Oh, I can't go hang out with you guys." She just got invited to a party, and she's like, "Oh, sorry, I can't go out with you guys. My mom and me are going to the music festival that night." And I was like, "The music festival." Like, it feels like that was like shorthand. Like, you're supposed to replace that later with like, let's give the music festival a name.
Right, the Bluegrass Hoedown.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to, the blues music festival or something. Or like, Papa Handy's music festival, or just something. Just give it a name to make it feel more realistic.
Papa Handy's Touchy Palace.
So it was like a couple of those things were like, okay, placeholder idea.
But I don't think they got in the way of anything.
No, and I think it might have actually gotten in the way. As I was thinking about it more, I was like, that kind of thing, like, if you make it into more of a thing, then it feels weird if it's not part of the story.
Yeah, if it's not fleshed
out.
out.
If you don't go to, the Brightburn Community Music Festival.
Yeah.
At some time in the story, you're like, well, why did they even mention that?
Yeah.
But kind of stuff like that where it's not as fleshed out, but the acting and the directing just overcomes any shortness in the script. I don't
Shortcoming.
know. Or any shortcoming in the script. But yeah, I really liked the characters. I really liked the premise, and I liked that they didn't go necessarily cheap on the payoff. So when I saw the trailer, I thought, okay, she's got someone she's torturing up top.
Yeah.
That's why you can't go up there.
Let's not get into spoilers.
No, I thought she was
not a spoiler, by the way.
I thought she was going to be have a torture chamber with kids, and that this whole thing was a ploy to get the kids.
I didn't even care.
Up there.
I did not even care.
And then what's the movie? Oh yeah, Greta. I thought it was going to be the Greta concept of she's just luring these kids in to take advantage of them somehow. And that's not what it that's not what it was.
No, but it just I mean, what it wasn't any more interesting, It was just kind of a revenge story, and that's fine, but I saw it coming a mile away, and it just didn't tickle my dickle at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it was just the fact that it was so well made and it was engaging to me. Yeah, maybe I wasn't on the edge of my seat, what's going to happen to these people. But I really did want to know what happened to Ma, what the stuff that happened to her was.
But even the things that happened to her were underwhelming. It was it's okay, cool. Everybody hates high school.
Oh yeah, sorry. Spoilers.
Spoilers. That was a good one.
All right.
So
yeah, I just spoiled the whole movie anyway.
Yeah.
So if you want to know what happened to Ma,
I could probably I could probably clip some of that out in post.
Fine.
So
yeah, if you want to know what happened to Ma, she was tricked into giving a blowjob.
Yeah, who cares? I mean, I get it that's a quote unquote high stakes thing, but it's not a high stakes thing to build a horror movie around. And ultimately it was just how does that? I don't know. It just seemed dumb. It was all right, so she got taken advantage of, and she's bitter about it, but that doesn't make her the monster that she became in this movie. I mean, I guess it did, but damn, I don't know. I don't. It has to be more interesting than what it was.
Yeah, I mean,
to get me to go, oh, well, this is now interesting. It's well, I'm gonna ask you to give me a blowjob in this janitor's closet. Okay, are you sure? Yeah, just do it.
I guess you can say that, but I mean, did getting a bucket of pig's blood drop on you, did that warrant killing an entire,
right,
arena full of children?
Well, yeah, that
Carrie?
was but in Carrie though, there's some interesting backstory to Carrie, right? Her mom is profoundly overpowering in her life, and you get to see that behind the scenes all the time. You get to see Carrie every straw that gets piled on her back throughout the movie, starting with that starting scene, which, by the way, is iconic, right? A bunch of naked girls in the shower, and then she gets her period, and you just can't imagine anything more embarrassing than a bunch of your peers making fun of you for something that you can't control and yet you have no hand in. There are stakes that gets raised in Carrie, and in Ma, it's we learn it's almost like halfway through the movie, the writers went, "Oh fuck, there are no stakes," and then they're like, "Oh, a white guy tricks her into giving him a blowjob in the janitor's closet, and then he makes fun of her in front of the whole student body.
Yeah, I think the stakes are that just she can't overcome it over time. And like something small and like traumatic, emotionally traumatic like that, if you can't let it go, will just grow and fester to the point where it drives you insane.
That's definitely true. Like, I can attest to that for sure.
So, I mean,
it's just my life isn't compelling, and neither is Moss.
To me, it works because obviously, if you're, middle-aged and you're still thinking about that one time that you're really, really, really embarrassed in high school to the point where it's overwhelming your life and it directs your decisions. And I think the film did a pretty good job of like showing the obsession and her going down the road of like, of no return, because she makes the choice to like investigate these kids' lives, and it shows her making these choices while being a detriment to her professional life.
Right.
One of my favorite continuing threads through the whole movie is how shitty of a worker she is.
Of an employee she is.
She's like,
Octavia, can you fucking get this dog prepped for...
Allison Janney is the veterinarian that
She's
Octavia
great.
Spencer works for.
I wish she was in more of the movie. I love her.
Yeah, she's like, did you prep this fucking dog? Like, what the fuck are you doing? Why am I
phone?
Why am I answering the phone?
Yeah.
You're right there.
Yeah. I'm the veterinarian. You're the veterinarian's assistant. Assist.
It doesn't it doesn't make a big deal of it, but it's just a through line of it. I mean, eventually she kills the vet, right? I think that was her in the cage. I don't think that was Mercedes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it wasn't Mercedes because she... Well, okay, we're getting way ahead of
we're getting ahead of ourselves. But anyways, like let's talk about the plot. I think it did a pretty good job. And I was reminded throughout, like Ma's character reminded me a lot of Annie Wilkes from Misery.
Yes.
Just very obsessive, very like detached from reality.
Maybe a little on the spectrum.
Yeah. Maybe. And I think it made it interesting to me.
See, and now we're really getting into the nitty gritty of what movies are about, right? Or any art, right? It may not speak to some people, and for any number of reasons. Like your backstory means everything, right?
Right.
So if there's something you can identify with, or that you very heavily agree with, or that upsets you. Then yeah, this is going to be a more compelling premise to you. But I mean, it just tickles everybody's dickle at different levels. Mm-hmm. It's different dick tickling levels throughout. So who knows? Mm-hmm. So let's get into let's go through the story the way we normally would, because we got passionate about that. So first of all, Juliette Lewis playing the not unhinged, the normal person in this movie. I was immediately like, fuck, it's Juliette Lewis. Heads are gonna fucking roll. Like she's all her, I mean, I just go to natural born killers immediately.
Yeah, I think of her as like the teenager and stuff. Like,
that too.
Juliette Lewis is one of those actresses that when she was younger, I was always kind of annoyed when she was in a film.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
But when I see her now, she's like a really good actress, probably because she's been doing it for a long time now. And I got to tell you, like, she's holding up pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So she was the mom of our main character, whose name escapes me right now, Maggie. And yeah, she did a great job. And but man, I see her and just immediately go to, if anyone in the audience has never seen Natural Born Killers, it's shocking that movie got made, but it happened around the same time that a lot of those really terrifically shocking splatter sort of way over the top movies got made, right? The early 90s, late 80s and early 90s. So it's like You got Brain Dead, it's also called Dead Alive.
I've never actually watched Natural Born Killers.
Oh, it is. It's a fucking ride, man.
I started it. I think I was at a sleepover and we started it and just never got into it. Like it. All I remember is Key Lime Pie. That's the only thing I remember from it. And it was written by Tarantino, right?
I think he had some part of it.
I think it was written by Tarantino and was directed by Oliver Stone.
Yeah, that sounds right. It's one heck of a trip. It's a more of a commentary than like, it's kind of a commentary on society, I feel like, but man, is it shocking. And it's very clearly intended to be. It's just over the top for the sake of being over the top and hard to watch. But tremendous movie and very interesting. And if you want to see some fucking weird shit that Juliette Lewis does, then watch Natural Born Killers.
All right.
Yeah. So she was the mom. An interesting line from the start of the movie. So Maggie is new in town. She gets into the school. She's eating her lunch in the library and all alone. And this swath of kids come in and they're like joking around. They're like, "Oh, you must be the new kid. Don't worry. I'm not like a lesbian or anything." What kind of intro line is that? If some kid walks up to me and he's like, "Oh, you must be the new kid. Don't worry. I'm not gay." I'd be like, okay.
Well, it was, yeah, all right, yeah.
I don't know. It was interesting and funny to me. I thought it was an interesting...
She was, the girl talking to her was very forward.
Right.
She was like really very interested in learning about her.
Who are you?
Yeah. But I thought that was a good character introduction because she was like very talkative and very forward. And it explained like, no, I'm not attracted to you. I was the new kid last year. And this is just what I'm like. It's like what comes across.
Right. And there's, you mentioned the music festival line, and now I'm starting to realize that I wrote down a lot of like one-off liners that were very similar, which is the next one. So she starts hanging with this swath of kids who are like, they're not lesbians or anything, but they're hanging out in their van and they're smoking and
well, they're not smoking.
Well, they are smoking, and then they're also vaping, and they pass the vape to her, and she's like, "No, thanks." And they're like, "What? You don't vape?"
And that was the reaction that David had because he's a huge vapor.
I don't vape at all. Like,
he's just spitting out massive clouds,
big fat clouds of vape. I really don't. I don't.
Just vaping all the time. Mm-hmm. He's vaping right now.
So here's the load.
If you hear he's like spinning tornadoes and stuff.
Every time I've taken a big hit off of one of those big old fancy vapey things, I just go into fits because first of all, it's gross. Like the tobacco ones where you get these big clouds, if it's like it covers your body in like a film of oily grossness.
Really?
Oh, it's
you love it.
Let me tell you, like I'm not a smoker. But cigarettes are a much easier sell.
Really?
Yeah, because they don't make you feel like, I don't know, like fresh out the trailer. Kind of. As much, which is saying something because cigarettes kind of fresh out the trailer.
Yeah.
So here's the lowdown on Ma. You've seen it already. Remember Greta? Yeah, same movie essentially. Have you seen The Gift? If not, you should watch that instead of Ma, in my opinion, because it's actually scary and keeps the audience on their toes. In fact, here's a list of movies that do a much better job of accomplishing essentially the same story as Ma, but did give you a more interesting product in the end.
Yeah, I think it's worth saying, we can go over this list too, but it's worth saying that on the spectrum of horror versus thriller, this is very much more on the thriller side. Like
all of these are the same.
It only really dips its toe in the horror water at the very end when she's like doing some shit,
wacky shit. Yeah, and most of these on this list are very comparable to Ma.
Right.
So we got Cape Fear, very comparable to Ma.
Yes.
I'd go with the 90s version. 1 Hour Photo. Very similar. Red Eye.
Cape Fear also has Juliette Lewis in it.
Yeah, it does. Very, very, very young Juliette.
I saw a clip on YouTube of, who is it?
So watch Cape Fear. What a great movie that was.
Who's the actress that did Marcia Clark in that OJ series?
I don't know. I'm not that guy, man.
I can see her. Anyway, she did a really great impression of Juliette Lewis in Cape Fear. Are you that guy that's trying to murder my dad? Oh my God.
Oh my God. So we also got Red Eye. It's a 2005 movie about a plane flight.
Was that an obsessive guy? I can't remember. I saw it, but I don't remember that was like a revenge story kind of thing.
It was, he was sitting next to her. He was kind of stalkery.
Okay.
Fear. You got Misery, which we already mentioned. Fatal Attraction. Fantastic. Scream, which is more into the horror. And then also you got Hush, which is very much horror.
Hush. Is that the one I'm thinking of? Is that the Mike Flanagan one?
Yes, it's the one with the deaf protagonist.
Yeah, that's not a stalker. That's like a home invasion one.
Yeah, it's home invasion, I guess. I thought it was kind of comparable.
Like, but I think all of those, yes, I agree with you. And I would even, accept that all of those are probably better films, more interesting than Ma. That being said, I think this one did a pretty good job of creating a good character for Ma, setting up like that she's pretty fucked up and pretty scary in her own distinct way. It's not like over the top, but also, it makes sense that it's not over the top, because why would kids stay at her basement if she was like literally the most frightening person? Like if you had an actual Annie Wilkes,
right,
just super disturbing, the kids would be like, nope, just got a real bad feeling about this all of a sudden. And how Annie Wilkes works is like she had to trap the guy,
right,
and that's why it works.
Yeah, so Ma, like I said, Ma is not it's not sloppy, it's not poorly put together. It all makes really good sense. Ma doesn't even start out with any ill intentions. Like, she starts out just being someone who wants to help.
Right.
Really, really honestly.
Right.
And then she slowly transitions into,
Yeah, because what happens is these kids ask her to help them buy alcohol, and she's not willing, and then there's a moment where she sees the logo on the van that they're driving, something about, Hawkins Security or whatever, and she recognizes the name as someone that she knows, and then she's
it's a small town.
So there is like a little switch flips,
right?
And she's like, "Okay,
there's a lot of little switches that
this is all of a sudden very interesting to me to be involved with these kids," and so she helps them out. But that being said, it feels very natural. That's one of the compliments I have about this movie, is that the kids
definitely honestly
feel like kids.
Yeah,
teenagers wanting to get drunk. It probably, it's not my high school experience. I don't know how like prevalent drunken parties are. It seems like these kids are having one like every other night or something.
It's not my high school experience either at all.
But they interact like kids. One of the, we'll get to it later probably, but one of the best examples of that is when the guy asks out the protagonist. That was like, wow, that is really how that really felt real.
That's
that really is how that would work.
Yeah.
And Ma felt like a real character, like a real, like just lady that was walking by.
Not only a real character, a real person.
Right.
This person exists and you know them. The
Yeah.
person who was made fun of in high school and just only ever wanted to be accepted, and now they're older. They're an adult.
They're a nice person.
They're a nice person because they went through suffering in their early life. That's how you get to be a good person. You suffer.
Yeah.
And she was a good person up until all these switches started flipping for her, and she started realizing, hey, there's a real chance that I could get revenge on the people who did me wrong in high school. And in that sense, Ma is a really well done story. Believable, people. These weren't characters; they were people.
Yeah, there's only a couple moments early on that were like, maybe that should have been a much bigger red flag, you know. They.
What are you thinking?
I'm skipping forward, but they go down to Ma's basement. Eventually, she invites him in, and she's like, "I'd rather have you drinking here than out driving," which makes total sense.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, one of the jock kids or whatever just decides, "I'm going to be a massive fucking tool right now, and I'm going to be like, hey man, you got to like put up a big screen over here. You got to put a ping pong table here and got to do all this stuff." And she's like, "Yeah, well, if I win the lottery, you know, like a normal person." And he's like, all of a sudden, is like
gets up in her
weird teenage peer pressure flexing.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You want to be cool, don't you? If you don't want to do that, I guess you're not fucking cool. You're just a loser.
You loser."
And it's like, all right, that's
there
weird.
were a few little weird flexes like that where it's like the writers or probably not the writers, probably someone who is punching up the script was like, we need it to be more edgy.
Yeah. And so her response is
she whips out a revolver and puts it in his fucking mouth
and makes him strip.
Yeah, or puts it on his cheek.
He's like, she's like, "Get naked right now.
Show me all your dingus."
And then he strips naked. And to me, if I was those teenagers, that would be the most frightening and damaging experience in my life.
It's time to leave.
But for these teenagers, good fun.
That's a good one, Ma.
Yeah.
Hey,
because she, because at the end she's like, "Nah, you're cute. You can put your clothes back on." It was all in good fun.
I like your little wing ding.
And then the kids are like, "Wow, what?
Have you ever had a gun pulled on you, Bryce?"
No,
I have.
Really?
I've had a gun pulled on me.
By who?
Okay. So my brother and I are in his car. We're driving down the freeway. We're on our way to the dorkiest thing I can imagine. Also, one of the funnest things I can imagine, a LAN party. Okay. Where a bunch of dudes bring and gals bring computers and play on their computers until the break of dawn. And so we're driving down the freeway. My brother, there's this part where two freeways merge, and one guy in a Mustang, we cut him off, not meaning to, but this is a merging lane,
right? Can I just say, what is the big deal about being cut off? Like, that has never really bothered me.
This is what traffic is.
I was like, all right, I get it.
There are other people on the road, and you need to get along with them.
Yeah, all right.
Because you're in giant death machine.
Yeah, okay, proceed.
So this guy gets pissed off, and we're just dumb kids, and we're provocative. We're like, ha 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 ha, yeah, we're heading to a LAN, we're having a good time. I think I can't remember if we flipped him off or anything. I don't think we did. I think we laughed. I think we were just laughing, and he gets right up next to our car and pulls out a pistol and rolls down his window and points it at us or something like that. And I was immediately on the phone for 911. I was like, shit, he's headed to Oregon. He's crossing state lines right now.
Did you get his license plate?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you called him? Mm-hmm. Did you ever hear anything about it?
Never heard anything about it again.
Wow.
Yeah. That's the one time I had a gun pulled on me.
Wow, that's crazy.
Anywho, back to Ma. Remember who...
this guy was a real jerk.
Yeah, he was a real jerk. So the kids are partying outside one night after Ma buys them booze. And this is before she invites them to their house, right? Directly before.
Yeah, they're drinking at the rock pile.
Uh-huh. At the old rock pile.
Which is also, like, is that a thing? Just a rock pile?
Well, we had a rock pit.
Rock pit?
We had the pit.
Okay.
Yeah, we called it the pit.
All right.
We didn't drink there. We played paintball. And there probably some of the guys drank there. Okay. Anyway, so a cop rolls up on them while they're partying. And, and it's because Ma called the cops and tips them off.
Right.
Anyway, so the cop rolls up on him and he gets all up.
Or wait, she calls the dad.
That's right.
The Hawkins kid's dad.
That's right.
Because she recognizes the name.
She tips him off.
And then he calls the cops.
Your kid's going to be partying at the rock pile tonight. Mm-hmm. He's like, damn it, my fucking kid partying. Only I can party. And so he calls his buddy who's on the police force and is like, hey, can you go check it out tonight? His buddy rolls down there, catches the kid, and he says one of the best lines ever that made me laugh a lot. He goes, he catches them all and he's pointing a flashlight in their faces and getting all up in their grill. And he's like, I played football with your dad and he was a dick. So get out of here. Scram. I was like, yeah. That's a very cop thing to do.
Right.
Because it's like, what am I going to do? Am I going to spend all night doing paperwork on 5 kids just having a good time out here?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I just...
Plus, it also establishes the guy's dad as a huge dick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is an important part of this movie because his dad was the guy who...
took advantage of Ma.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were...
Hey, Ma!
Oh, man.
Hey, Mom!
So, with all that, all these criticisms I've kind of leveled at Ma, I do think that, like I've said before, I think it's a well put together movie that has a lot of things going for it. So, some of the good about Ma is, as I've said, let me just expand on some of these things. The direction. It is solid. At no point in Ma did I feel like I was watching a poorly put together movie. All the actors were on point, all the camera work made sense and accomplished what it was setting out to do. Nothing got in too much in the way of the story other than some of the corny dialogue and there wasn't that much of that.
Yeah, there's not too much ham-fistedness in the movie. It all felt like it kind of makes sense within the universe of the story.
Yeah. There wasn't a lot of artistry in the direction in Ma, except for staying out of the way of the story, which I think helped to make this a better movie. The acting, as we've mentioned before, all the characters were well acted. Octavia Spencer, as your star role in this movie, is critical, I think. I think for this kind of movie, for a movie with a menacing, revenge-seeking person, you need to have someone like Octavia Spencer who can really, like Kathy Bates,
who can bring it.
Who can fucking bring it.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the trailer, I was wondering, why is she in this?
Right, and now it makes sense.
It's so weird because, like I said, I expected it was going to be 100% like Greta, where she's luring in these kids to torture them upstairs. And I was like, why would Octavia Spencer be interested in being in, a generic slasher...
Right.
horror movie, entrapment horror movie, and it wasn't that, and it was a lot of character development around Ma and the internal world of Ma. There was just enough for Academy Award winner to sink their teeth into, just enough to justify.
Just enough, yeah. And I think all the kids did a really good job of doing exactly what they were told and more. They were good, they were believable, they were kids, they were the anybody's.
Yeah.
Ma, let me also say that the soundtrack in this movie was fabulous. This is the kind of soundtrack that I love in movies.
There is one moment that threw me, that pulled me out of the movie.
Okay.
Was there's just a giant group of eventually there's just a giant group of teenagers that are always in Ma's basement.
Yeah, just partying.
They're sitting around, and then this moment, Ma turns on a song and everyone's like, oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, this is my jam. Oh, fuck yeah. And that song, Safety Dance. I'm like,
this is your jam?
Maybe Generation Z kids aren't huge into Safety Dance.
S, A, F, E.
You can dance if you want to. You can leave your friends behind.
Yeah, that's...
And if you don't dance, and when you don't dance with a no friends of mine.
See, this is why we need to go see the movie together, because I didn't barely pick up on that. I was just like, I love the safety dance. I was like, yeah, this is my jam. Whee!
I mean, yes, it's a great song in a way.
In context.
And ironically, maybe, but just having like a bunch of Gen Z kids like, fuck yeah!
I remember the first time I fucked it was to this song, Safety Dance. I'm so safe when I have sex. Oh, I use a vaginal dam and a condom at the same time. Yeah, so Ma had a great soundtrack full of disco and club hits from the 70s and early 80s. The party vibes felt simultaneously fun and foreboding, which was a huge plus to this movie. Which is important, and I feel like a part of most of these kind of parties.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the idea... So I came from a very, very conservative background. I didn't drink until last year. You know, I mean...
30.
Basically, I'm 39. 36.
Yeah, almost 40.
When I started drinking alcohol. So, I mean, take my opinion with a grain of salt. But the idea of an older person saying, I'd rather have you drinking in my house than out drinking on your own. To me, I'm like, yeah, but that's an endorsement of drinking when you're young. So
maybe don't do that.
That's kind of, to me, dangerous. It's like a tacit agreement that like, yes, I approve.
Yeah.
Even though you don't approve.
It's dangerous for a lot of reasons, right? It's dangerous to the person who's saying that to the kids, because it's like, well, I mean, when kids drink, it can get pretty out of hand, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been someone who gets blackout drunk. It doesn't really ever happen to me.
Yeah, teenagers and kids don't generally have a well-developed executive function.
Right.
They don't make good choices already, and then drinking reduces
your ability to know when to stop. Yeah, that's a real dangerous slippery slope that I don't. Yeah, but on the other hand, I tell you what, a lot of my friends drank and drove, you know, and that's super dangerous. Unless you're me, I'm fabulous at it. I actually am really good. I am. There are droves of people who will tell you that. No, but
until you get pulled over and get your first DUI and ruin your life.
Yeah, for real, man. That shit is going to ruin your actual life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to traffic court for a parking ticket. I think I've talked about it on the pod before.
Yeah.
But it was seeing the people that are coming in about DUIs, they're just like, oh, well, you're just fucked.
Yeah.
Like that's it for you.
Don't do it.
Like, yeah. Anyways.
So how about like Facebook? So a big part of this movie was manipulation over social media, right? Mm-hmm. And I've seen enough movies now where Facebook is just the de facto social media platform of choice. It's either Facebook or nameless brand.
Well, this one was, I guess the brand wasn't a huge part of it, but I'm pretty sure like it was pretty much pushing Instagram.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're owned by Facebook.
Or Snapchat. I mean, it was sending lots of like short videos
and selfies.
Yeah.
Don't make me drink alone. Don't make me drink alone.
So, but yeah, I mean, the idea of like an older person easily finding all of those children on social media and stalking them is like another one of those like, yeah, that is kind of disturbing that you can do that.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not like an unbelievable hack.
Well, you do that all the time, right?
Yeah.
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 Remember,
pretty much any children that I see walking down the street, I'm like, all right, I'll take a photo and then, you know, just scan Facebook for them.
Well, now now there's Google.
God
damn, look at those hot children. Yeah, look at them. Now there's Google Lens, right? And that basically gives you a portal to do that with everything, to scan people's faces, QR codes, to translate languages. It's pretty sweet. Super stalking tool. Google Lens. Get it at the Play Store now. So this reminded me of Get Out. Remember Get Out? Do you remember that?
Uh-huh.
Do you remember their shameless product placement of Windows phones and Microsoft products and Bing?
Right.
It was like, get on Bing. Like, I think that phrase was actually uttered, and we just gave it a pass.
Yeah, I binged him.
It's like, are you fucking out of your mind? Who says that? Are you a Microsoft employee?
Yeah. For some reason, like, there's some things that just pull you out, and one of them is whenever they don't use Google.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, all right, something's hugely wrong here.
What's happening? What's going on?
And for some reason, when they have a computer that's not a Mac in a Hollywood film, it just feels weird because feels like every computer in a Hollywood film is a Mac.
Right.
Got that Apple insignia on it.
Right.
But maybe it's usually like, if it's not a Mac, it's another really, really nice computer, and people don't have really, really nice computers. They just have a generic laptop or something.
Yeah, where are all the cum stains?
Yeah, you never you never see an Acer laptop in a Hollywood movie.
Whoa, shots fired, right? Well, there goes our Acer sponsorship.
You either see like a Sony Xperia or whatever, like Sony product that
Trinitron
looks super, super slick, and you're like, I've never seen a PC that looked that nice, but that's because no one's going to pay for $2,000 for a PC laptop.
Yeah.
If they would, they'd just buy a Mac.
Yeah. So,
anyways,
the bad about Ma, in my opinion, and I've kind of mentioned this a little bit, there was no way to make the stakes very high in this. The vast majority of this movie was Ma trying to get the kids to party with her, and when the kids started kind of like pulling away because it was getting a little too weird or just too frequent or too much, she resorted to lame high school level attempts to raise the stakes, like stealing your boyfriend and your jewelry and show up at your house to talk to your mom. That's not scary, and it wasn't threatening with Octavia Spencer. It just didn't feel that threatening. They don't raise the stakes in Ma until the very end, at which point it's almost like they realized that nothing happened the whole movie, and they decided to throw the kitchen sink at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's... I could see how you'd view it that way. I think the menacing of, like, kind of weirdly going after Maggie's boyfriend and just randomly them noticing, like, hey, our jewelry is disappearing, to me, that is slowly ramping up there's something wrong here, but maybe too slow. You know?
And just it's inconsequential, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so she took your earrings. There's all kinds of people that'll take your earrings. Trust me. Come over to my house sometime. This movie didn't rely on jump scares. There was like 2, maybe. Mostly it relied on building tension, and it just didn't do that very well. For me, it just felt kind of flat the whole way.
Yeah, it was much more. Maybe that's what it was. Like, it could have done a better job building the tension and building the stakes and payoff. But to me, it made up for it with the just the story and the characters and their interaction with each other just felt believable and felt like, yeah, where's this going? Kind of thing. I don't know.
It is revealed midway through the movie that Ma has pent-up shame and anger about how she was treated by her peers when she was in high school. And she begins, obviously, to hatch the plan to get back at all of her old classmates by ruining the lives of their kids, right? So there's a particularly disturbing flashback that we've talked about quite a bit already, where Ma has... She has a flashback about a boy in high school asking her for a blowjob in the janitorial closet. You know how things go. They escalated in the janitorial closet, and she obliges him, which I can only assume a girl would regret a bit, especially considering the janitor closet. And to add insult to injury, he has the whole student body waiting outside of the closet to find out, quote, how she was. And they're all laughing. And it's a bunch of white kids.
They're all going to laugh at you.
They're all going to laugh at you. And it's a bunch of white kids pointing at a young black woman, and they could have done a little bit more about that. But on the other hand, I appreciate not being slapped in the face with the overt racism thing. But
it was like it
could-
was in the 80s though, so it's like not like, I don't know. It was still racist in the 80s, but not like pre-civil rights racism.
Well, there was an undertone, right? Because it was all white kids and the one black person. And they're all pointing and laughing at her.
A lot of it was like it was making a much bigger point about how mousy and nerdy she was.
Yeah.
Younger than she was, different because she was black.
Right.
Definitely.
Right. There's just an unspoken, very obvious, like, oh, this is potentially a weird racial thing. And I've seen a few articles that have come across my feed that have said things like, Ma didn't go far enough with the racism thing. And they're not necessarily wrong, but on the other hand, let's
everything has to be about that.
Yes. Let's take a step back and go, well, isn't it good if people are just treating people based on their merit, even if it is treating them terribly? Like, if it's not because we're treating her poorly because she's a nerd, not because we don't see the color of her skin. We just see how stupid and nerdy she is. Like, there's a thin hair of positivity in that.
Right.
However fucked up that sounds.
And that's how we see it as cisgendered white males. And so that's how it should be.
Right. It's very important that you all believe what I believe.
I want to say before we get any further, for my good things, I could watch an entire movie of Octavia Spencer dancing in slow-mo.
Why?
And there's a good portion of this movie that's that. Because it's just delightful.
It is delightful.
Watching her have fun and dance.
She's just
like,
having a good time.
Doing the robot, doing like the fish thing. And it's like, there's a lot of the trailer that shows like her dancing. It's like, man, I would want to drink with Ma too.
Yeah.
Don't make me drink alone. Don't make me drink alone.
You get it, Ma. So, as it turns out, Ma has a daughter who we kind of met early in the movie. Maggie, the main character, helped the daughter when her wheelchair was broken down.
You know, I completely forgot about that.
That's the crux of the whole thing.
Yeah, I was like, it's so funny. Because they introduce her later in the movie. Yeah, I totally suffered a David in this one.
Whoa, fuck you, buddy.
Because they're like, oh yeah, don't you remember her? And I was like, no, I don't. I don't remember. I don't remember there being an interaction with a black girl ever in this movie. But
yeah, so
it was
at the start of the movie,
very first interaction was there was a girl in a wheelchair that was underpowered and she had to help her up a little hill.
Right.
I just remembered that when you said that. That's crazy.
And Ma, this girl who is handicapped or handicapable or disabled or whatever the word is that I'm supposed to use for that.
Retarded, right?
You said the R word. That's Ma's daughter, who she keeps locked up upstairs and convinced that she is very sick, very, very sick, in a very similar to the real-life tale of Dee Dee Blanchard and Gypsy, which has
cat?
Yeah, no, not that Gypsy. Oh. Which has recently been made into a miniseries called The Act that's available on Hulu. And it is a really creepy real-life story of a mom who basically does that. Who's like, no, you're sick. You're very sick. You have to be in a wheelchair. You can't walk. Let's shave all your hair off so you look like a cancer patient. Also, yeah, you remember now.
Was this the one that like did like the GoFundMe stuff around her kid?
I believe so.
Really? Okay.
And then Gypsy, her daughter, kills her.
Yeah.
Like fucking no, she gets a boyfriend and convinces the boyfriend to kill her. That kid's doing a hard time now. Like, but shouldn't there be a pass in some situations? I mean, if your mom keeps you as a prisoner, feeds you opiates and all kinds of drugs, convinces you that you're sick.
Yeah, there's a pass. You get someone else to kill her, and then you get to go free.
Gaslights you for your whole life, and then you got to kill her to get out of that situation. Shouldn't just everybody in that scenario just kind of like dust their hands off?
Man, you want to talk about like a subcategory of frightening scenarios is whenever women decide to fake something and get people to buy into it, like that is
or anyone
scary. So if
women
you come
or
across,
men,
yeah, but especially I don't know. There's something about women in particular that can.
It does seem to happen a little bit more with women.
So the stories about women that are faking cancer, that are like, yeah, I have cancer, and then they talk about how sick they are and shave their heads and get a bunch of sympathy around it. That's like a subset. There's a lot of stories about that kind of thing. And then another one's
false
like
rape accusations.
Yeah, that. And then another frightening subset, I've heard Dr. Drew talk about this, where women fake a pregnancy.
Yeah.
And I
was about to say
they
that.
really get, they entrap their boyfriend by saying that they're pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And, can you imagine not being pregnant and trying to convince someone for 8 or 9 months that you are pregnant? And what happens is if you hear a story about a woman that is killed, a pregnant woman that's killed and their baby is stolen or cut out.
Oh, yes.
Most of the time it's related to a story of a woman faking a pregnancy and needing to show proof of it somehow.
Yes.
So she kills another woman to take the baby out so she can say that she had a miscarriage.
Wow.
Like it's not common, but
wow.
If you do see a story of a woman that's pregnant getting murdered and their baby stolen, 9 times out of 10, according to Dr. Drew, it's the situation where a woman is trying to cover her tracks for a fake pregnancy.
That's chilling to the point of like my mind shutting down. Like I just don't want to think about it, and so I go, "What a thing!" And then,
and that's like one of the few areas in which women can be more frightening than men. It's like they're capable of that.
The pathology is
all
there
on their own.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, but on the whole, dude's pretty aggressive comparatively.
Right. I mean,
the vast majority of the violent crime.
Men are definitely more frightening than women. But if you're looking for ways that women can be frightening in a unique way, that's one of them.
So Ma keeps her daughter locked up upstairs. That's why nobody can go upstairs. At some point, she murders a woman by driving over her in her car. That woman is named Mercedes, so she hits a Mercedes with her Ford and kills the Mercedes. That was the girlfriend.
That's also. Can I just say that's a perfect name for that character?
Yeah, it's totally.
A woman named Mercedes.
Yeah. It was dead on.
And there's a great line when Maggie's mom was asking her boyfriend about. So Mercedes is the girl that Maggie's boyfriend's dad is dating.
Mm-hmm.
And so Maggie's mom is like, well, how do you feel about Mercedes? And he goes, I'm more of a Porsche guy. I thought that was a great line.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Just like not saying I hate her fucking guts and she's a vapid, cancer in my life.
Yeah.
Saying,
I like other cars.
Yeah, more of a Porsche guy.
Yeah, and so Ma kind of spirals to the point where she gets all the kids, the original 5 kids, together in her basement, drugs them all, a very Greta-esque kind of hypodermic needle situation where she drugs them all and then chains them up with collars and proceeds to do crazy things to each of them. Like the black kid isn't black enough, so she paints his face white, and the kid with good skin, she gives him a scar with an iron by burning him, and then and she does all this stuff, and it's whatever.
Yeah, I gotta say that is a little unearned. Like it ramps. Yeah, it does kind of
ramps into craziness, and it's like, whoa, okay,
yeah.
Then the house burns down, and
oh, you didn't talk about the Hawkins father guy.
Yeah,
But he confronts her and is like, I put a tracker on my son's truck and he's over here. Like, you gotta, like, if he's ever over here again, I'm gonna call the police, kind of thing. And then she basically figures out a way to trap him, and she like drugs him and then chains him to her bed. And I thought it was gonna go a different way. Personally, I thought she was just gonna, like, you know, use him as her sex slave because he embarrassed her or whatever.
Yeah.
But instead, she cuts his wrist and then puts a blood transfusion into the other arm that I think is dog blood.
Ugh.
I'm about 90% sure that was supposed to be blood from a dog.
Ugh.
And anyways, when the house burns down, she goes up and cuddles with him in the end.
Yeah, she goes up and cuddles with him to the death
because she had a huge crush on him, and then
gave him a blowy.
He
liked it a lot.
Yeah.
He liked it a lot, and then she got made fun of, and she was not about that. So,
okay, another thing that we need to rewind for is another moment that took me out of it. Is that when Ma calls the dad early on in the movie to tattle on the kids for drinking at the rock pile. Do you remember what the dad was doing?
No.
He was getting a blowjob for Mercedes. That's like the introduction of his character.
Okay.
He's sitting in his truck and getting a blowjob
that's right.
from Mercedes, gets a call about his son drinking. And then he's like...
Only I can get my dick wet in this family.
And he hangs up and he's like, I got to call the police. And then the Mercedes goes back to blow him. And he's like, no, get off of me. And I thought, like, you know, I think you'd probably just like get the blowjob. Like, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be like, all right, let's hurry it up because I got to call the cops in a minute.
That's the whole point of the blowjob, is to forget about your son drinking, right?
I mean, it's not going to take that long. Like, you can still call the cops and also get a blowjob.
No more blowjob. Things that brings Bryce out of a movie.
Yes. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Final recommendations. Here's who I think should watch this movie. If you're looking for the movie equivalent of mild Taco Bell sauce, this is it. Not offensive, not much to say, not very memorable, but good on anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's perfect because I love mild sauce from Taco Bell.
It's not going to offend you, really. Anybody can do it. You know?
Yeah.
Anybody can handle Ma, pretty much.
Yeah.
In my opinion, although that's not true because my cousin definitely couldn't. She'd be out of there within the first frame.
It's just a little less spicy.
It's just a little less spicy. So, with that, what about? So, do you agree with that final recommendation? Or?
Yeah, I think if you have a hankering for a
spankering,
kind of a revenge movie, or just watching a villain that's kind of close to Annie Wilkes. A little less threatening and menacing than Annie Wilkes, but good. If you're an Octavia Spencer fan, it's pretty good. If you want to watch a protagonist that looks almost like she should be Anne Hathaway's daughter, you could watch this.
Yeah, like a cartoon version of Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
Like even more Anne Hathaway.
She looks almost exactly like young Anne Hathaway.
Right.
Like the anime, manicured eyebrows.
The anime version of Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
So
I recommend it. I think it's definitely... I mean, if you're looking for a movie to see, there's a lot of movies out right now that are really good. So it's kind of hard to say, like, it's a must-see in the theater.
Yeah.
But it's good enough to see in the theater. I don't think you'd be mad about paying for a ticket. Unless you're me. Unless you're David.
So with that, let's move on to taglines. Here's taglines. Okay, I have a bunch of taglines, but they're mostly jokes. I mean, not more so than normal.
That's all right. Okay, so you go first. I've got several.
Okay, so my first one is a clip from The Simpsons, and I feel like the lead up is necessary. So this is about a minute long.
Oh,
I feel like people are going to appreciate the lead in.
It's not really a tagline as much as
it's
a funny joke that you want to share.
The tagline comes at the end.
Okay.
Some folk will never eat a skunk, but then again, some folk will, like Cletus, the slack-jawed yokel.
Hey, what's going on this side? Hey, Brandine, you might could wear these to your job interview.
And scuff up the topless dancing runway? Nah, you best bring 'em back where from you got 'em.
Okay. Back you go. To waits for a woman of less discriminating taste.
He throws it on the power line.
Most folk will never lose a toe, and then again some folk will, like Cletus, the slack-jawed yokel.
Hey, you know what? I could call my ma while I'm up here. Hey, Ma! Get off the dang roof!
There it is.
All right.
Get off the dang roof, Ma.
All right. Ma.
Hey, Ma! Can we get some meatloaf?
How could it be anything else?
All right.
All right. I have another clip.
All right. Please tell me it's less than a minute long.
Half the time.
Okay.
Less than half the time.
Kids, we're eating!
Oh, I should preface this. This is Ma calling in her party kids to come party with her.
Right.
So here we go.
Dermot.
Kids, we're eating dinner tonight. Come on, Tiffany, Heather, Cody, Dylan, Dermot, Jordan, Taylor, Brittany, Wesley, Rumor, Scout, Cassidy, Zoe, Chloe, Max, Hunter, Kendall, Caitlin, Noah, Sasha, Morgan, Kira, Ian, Lauren, Hubert, Phil.
See, so Ma had a lot of kids coming over, and there's a lot of parallels between Ma and Cletus from The Simpsons.
Right. All right, completely different one. Ma.
Hey, Mom! The meatloaf! We want it now! The meatloaf!
What is she doing? I never know what she's doing back there.
What? Is that from Step Brothers?
No, that's from Wedding Crashers.
Oh, I've never seen.
You've never seen Wedding Crashers?
Never.
Oh yeah, Will Ferrell plays a great character.
We want the meatloaf.
What's she doing in there? I never know what she's doing. That's actually a pretty good one for Ma.
Here we go. Ma. Yo ma's so poor, the ducks throw bread at her.
Oh, God.
Now it's just going to be...
Oh, God. It's just going to be Yo Mama jokes. Ma. Mean Girls, The Long Game.
Ooh, that is Mean Girls, The Long Game. Yo mama's so classless, she's a Marxist utopia.
That doesn't even make sense.
Yes, it does. No classes in Marxism.
Ma. Don't make her drink alone. Don't make her drink alone.
Yo ma so nasty, they used to call them jumpolines till your mama bounced on one. Jumpoline.
That shouldn't be so funny. Ma. I knew we should be afraid of black people.
Whoa. Let's just breeze right past that one. Yo mama's so well respected within her profession that I bet she'll get another raise and promotion this year, despite the downward trajectory of the economy.
All right, last one and last racist one. Ma. It's like Superbad, but with a crazy black lady.
That's not racist.
All right.
Yo ma is so dead that she'll never hug you again. That's my favorite one.
All right.
Your ma is so dead that she'll never hug you again. And that was
Taglines.
Okay, so now we got some of that horror movie news. You got an intro?
Horror movie news.
This just in.
Thanks to King of All Badgers for that drop.
Yeah, thank you, King of All Badgers. So, first thing on the docket, The Perfection, which is a Netflix original, has been, this was reported by We Got This Covered, is so disturbing that people are becoming physically ill because of it.
Yeah, I was almost wanting to do that this week too, like to record another one.
I haven't seen it yet.
We might have to do that next week or something.
Yeah.
We should probably do a review on that one.
Yeah.
Because I think that looks good.
Yeah, I agree. So this is a movie that bugs are featured prominently in. Here are some tweets from real people about the Perfection. I actually feel physically sick after watching The Perfection. I couldn't take the bugs, man. I was about to turn the movie off, but I'm glad I didn't. The ending was good. Here's another one. Woke up early to watch The Perfection before work this morning. Literally about to call in sick. LMAO. That was fucked up. And finally, let me see here. Let me find a good one. I haven't seen the whole thing, but I watched some scenes from The Perfection on Netflix, and it's literally making me feel sick, so definitely not watching it. It just goes on this way. People not feeling good about The Perfection because disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty interesting to me, so maybe check that out. Actually, Bloody Disgusting. It broke some news about Robert Englund is getting his own documentary about him. Englund, who, as you may or may not know, starred as the original Freddy Krueger and starred as Freddy Krueger in 8 movies and a couple of shows, including his own show in the 90s. Has a documentary that I don't know where it's going to come to rest, to live, but he's having a documentary made about him and presumably about Freddy himself, so that should be interesting. Blabbermouth.net reports on Metallica's leading guitarist Kirk Hammett having a horror movie exhibit at Ontario Museum in Toronto. And I just had to bring this up because I love Metallica.
Nothing more horrifying than seeing a modern Metallica show.
Oh, man. I've never been so disappointed or let down by heroes, true heroes. And they had a fucking drum circle. It was a drum circle, Bryce, and they weren't even real drums. They were electric, like bongo top drums.
Wow.
I have no words. Anyway, so he is apparently a big horror head, and he's got a lot of horror paraphernalia, a lot of originals and stuff like that, and it's going to be on display in Toronto at the Ontario Museum. So if you're local to there, which I know we have some listeners in Toronto, you should check that out. I don't know when it's going to be, but I'm sure you can Google that shit and find out. Kirk Hammett horror movie exhibit. And finally, there is a I'm very excited for this. Creep Show is getting a show made on Shudder. So the Vignette movie, Creep Show, which featured a bunch of short stories that I had a lot of fun with, I think I gave it an 8 out of 10, is actually having a show made about it, and it'll live on Shudder. So if you need any more reasons to go check out Shudder, other than the fact that a lot of our library of movies that we've reviewed are on there, this is another reason to check out Shudder, because Creep Show, the show, is coming to it. Also, Critters, a new binge, is also available on Shudder, and it's redonk. It's very silly and fun. So I should mention, at the end of horror movie news, here's a little bit of news. We've never really come out and said this. We've kind of alluded to it pretty much every episode. But as always, we always give priority to new horror movies. So if you want to watch the movie that we're going to review before we review it, check out the newest horror movie in theaters on opening weekend, and you'll be ahead of the curve. So, yeah. And
but also it's a service. Like if you want to know what the movie's like, you can not see it on the opening weekend.
Sure.
Listen to the review part of the episode and then maybe save the spoilers until after you watch it.
Yeah, you can do that too.
If you decided, if we tell you it's a piece of shit and you're not going to watch it, I think the spoilers will be interesting. And if it's really good and we really love it, then you could just press pause.
Yeah.
Go see it and then listen to the rest of it.
Totes.
Later. Yeah.
Totes. So with that, thank you very much for listening to Horror Movie Talk. We appreciate you very much. Make sure to share this episode post with a friend. Share the pod with a friend. It's the way we grow, and we really rely on our listeners to share us. So please do that. It'll help us out a whole lot. Also, if you want to help us out, rate and review us on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you listen to the pod. And if you would like to help us out, go ahead and enter HMT at checkout at shudder.com and get 30-day free trial of that service. That's a horror movie streaming service. If you want to support us directly, you can always become a patron on Patreon by going to our website, horrormovietalk.com. Check out the link in the header. It says become a patron. The other way you can support us is just by shopping on Amazon. Go to our website, click that button. It takes you to Amazon, and then you buy whatever you want, and we get a decent little kickback from that. It's not small. It is small, but it's not as small as you may think.
Yeah, I'm just going to say about Patreon, if you become a patron, you'll have access to exclusive content. Like after the show today, we're going to be recording an after pod episode that will be released the same day as this episode, so you can leave the podcast off and then go to Patreon and listen to the afterpod. And I think today we'll be talking about my foot, probably, because we didn't talk much about it in the episode today. But yeah, join us on Patreon.
The hot foot talk.
And get access to exclusive content like afterpods and mini pods, like our review of Chernobyl.
Yeah. So if you're looking for more horror movie talk content, there are exclusive patron stuff on Patreon. So become a founding member right now. Get that $5 rate. That's all it costs to become the ultimate horror movie talk
founding member
Patreon thing. And now I'm rambling.
Yeah, you don't need to do $5 either. Like you can donate less, but you won't be a founding member. You'll just be a very, very, very nice person that gives us money,
and you'll fit into a tier somewhere. And with that, thank you very much for listening, and y'all have a great week. We love you.
We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, Mom! The meatloaf! We want it now! The meatloaf!
What is she doing? I never know what she's doing back there.